Hello, my name is Camille Claiborne, and I'm currently completing my master's degree in education. Currently, I'm employed in urban education as a high school English teacher. Prior to that, I was a Catholic school middle school teacher in the city of Philadelphia. So prior to me entering the education field full time, I was a substitute teacher, and that allotted me the time to experience various schools throughout the city of Philadelphia and work with a lot of different grades, students in different grade levels. Why single sex education? I chose single sex education in part because of my own educational background. I am an anomaly in a sense because I am a two-time minority. I am a woman and I'm also African American. Yet two times in my life I was able to be of the majority. And this literally never happened again. As a high school student, I attended an all-girls Catholic high school in the city of Philadelphia, and as a college student, I attended a historically black college or university. Both experiences were fantastic, yet vastly different. Upon graduating college, I relocated to the Baltimore City area. At that time, I took note of the private and parochial schools that were around me. And I was a bit astonished to realize that a lot of their middle school and elementary schools were also single sex, not just their high schools. I was accustomed to seeing high schools and universities that were single sex, but not elementary and middle schools. I began to wonder, if you're a student matriculating through private and parochial schools in that area, you could potentially not ever go to school with someone of the opposite sex until maybe college because those schools were all single sex. And I wondered how that might shape a child. Later, I became employed at a private school in the Baltimore City area. The school itself was coeducational, but students were divided into classes based on gender. So as a teacher, I had four sets of classes. I had 10th grade, I taught 10th grade, but yet I had a 10th grade boys class and a 10th grade girls class, and I saw them at opposite times. I had an 11th grade girls class and 11th grade boys class, and again, I saw them at opposite times. Students only were around each other coeducationally at lunchtime. This began to spark in me an idea of what are the benefits of single sex education. Why African American males in single sex education? So I chose to research African American males in single sex education simply because during my first semester here at Arcadia, I completed a bibliography research paper on the benefits of single sex education. And at that time, I found that single sex was most beneficial to minority males and women. And there was a robust amount of information on the benefits of single sex education for women. It was clear single sex is beneficial for women. And as I was doing my research, I found little blurbs that briefly discussed the benefits of single sex education for minority males. It was something that I wanted to explore further. So, part of the reason that there is so much information on the benefits of single sex education for girls is because a lot of single sex schools for all girls schools have been around a lot longer and they were able to be studied. So, single sex education has its roots in the Catholic Church. Religious orders of sisters would start all girls schools, and religious orders of priests would start all boys schools. So, single sex girls schools were able to be studied. Versus minority all male schools, they're sort of a new phenomenon. And they haven't been studied as frequently. What's clear though is that single sex education is beneficial to girls. When it comes to education in single sex environments for white males though, they excel in all boys environments as well as coeducational environments. There really isn't much of a difference. African American minority boys, though, seem to excel in single sex environments. Researchers, though, are conflicted on if it is the single sex environment or the new initiatives that were established within those schools that are making them successful or beneficial to African American males. So I'm going to explore those topics in my project. There is an academic gender achievement gap in American schools. Female students are academically outperforming their male peers. Female students are excelling in academics, graduating at higher rates, and have a more significant presence in gifted classrooms than their male peers. The gender achievement gap begins as early as kindergarten and expands from that point forward. Males are much more likely to repeat a grade. Male students also account for 2/3 of students placed in remedial and special education classes. African Americans, as a subdivision of the general student population, have even greater gaps in academic achievements. African American female students are outperforming African American males at a higher percentage than their peers in the general student population. African American males have an arduous road to academic success. They are disciplined more frequently than their peers, with school suspensions and removal from instructional classrooms. By the time they reach high school, 42% of African American males have failed at least one grade level. African American males attending urban public schools continue to be represented at the bottom rung of virtually every measure of student achievement. They have high numbers in remedial courses and special education and are grossly underrepresented in specially gifted classes. The low academic performance of African American male students can be directly traced to their experience within the classroom. African American students are often taught by teachers who have a negative view of them and their academic abilities. Within those classrooms, the curriculum isn't academically vigorous, and little to no effort is exerted to make students feel welcome. African American students tend to be taught by novice or uncertified teachers in the classroom via an emergency certification. What can be done to remedy the low academic performance of African American male students? Some have suggested school segregation in the form of single-sex education as a remedy to the low academic performance of African American male students, creating classrooms and charter schools that are exclusively male. Under Title IX legislation, schools could legally create gender-specific classrooms. In 2006, President George W. Bush and Secretary of Education Margaret Spellings enacted legislation that will permit single-sex education as a public school option. With this legislation, urban schools in major cities began separating students and placing them in classrooms based on gender. This placement was with the intent to address the academic underachievement of African American males. Gender differences greatly impact how girls and boys learn. Therefore, separation in schooling environment is needed to address those biological differences. Was conducted at an Atlanta, Georgia area school, comparing single and coeducational classrooms among fifth grade students in two schools with comparable demographics of household income and ethnicity. The study analyzed and compared students in single-sex classrooms to their peers in coeducational classrooms. All the students participating in the study were characterized as average learners by their principals and teachers. None were identified as special education students. The teachers participating in the study were identified by the principals as highly competent master teachers. The results of the study in reference to the all-male classroom versus the coeducational classroom. The students in the all-male classroom showed improvements in behavior and had higher attendance rates. Students in the all-male classroom also achieved higher grades than their coeducational peers. The standardized test achievement, though, remained relatively the same for both groups. Test scores are harder to improve using short-term and broad-based interventions. Urban Prep Academies was founded in 2002 in Chicago, Illinois. The school serves grades 9 through 12 with a population that is 100% African American male and 85% low income. The school boasts an 11th year record of 100% college acceptance for graduating seniors. Historically, college prep schools for boys have only been available to families who could afford private schools. Now, this proven model is available tuition free at Urban Prep's 3 campuses via random lottery with no evaluation of test scores or special needs. Distinctive elements of the school's program include a vigorous college prep curriculum, extended school day and year, language arts and math focus, extracurricular activities, community service requirements, parental engagement expectations, a positive school culture, and regular professional development for teachers. Hope High School in Hope, Arkansas, serving grades 7 through 12, has a 48% African American student population, with 100% of the student population being from a low-income household. In January 2006, the school piloted a single-sex classroom initiative among 9th grade students. 9th grade boys had failing grades in more than one academic subject, and numerous detention referrals. The school administrative staff researched gender-based learning, and faculty attended professional development on gendered learning. The following year, with the program initiated, the school saw improvements among students, with no male students failing more than 2 classes, a decrease in overall detention referrals, and a rise in attendance rates. Is single-sex education beneficial for African American males? I have profiled 3 to 5 schools who are exclusively African American and male. I've also looked at single-sex classrooms and how it has benefited males, particularly African American males. The success of these schools and classrooms is not singly attached to dividing of students based on gender, although that divide has attributed to the success of the schools. The schools have been successful due in part to the initiatives that they have implemented once students are in these new learning environments. Overall, the benefits of single-sex education for African American males are a decrease in classroom distractions, smaller class sizes, and feeling less pressure to engage in societal stereotypical behavior. The schools I have profiled, along with single-sex education, have implemented the following initiatives, one or more of them, at their schools. These initiatives, I believe, contribute to the success of the school and have benefited African American males who attend those schools. Those initiatives have included professional development for teachers, a vigorous academic curriculum, mentors, and students feeling a sense of community while they are attending those schools.